win for you is a win for all. T's and C's apply.
Well, it is a World Radio Day, and of course, various radio stations across the country are celebrating in style here at the Broadcasting Corporation, as well as one of our bureaus in Mombasa County. We're also celebrating and marking the day in style. We'll be showing you those live images any moment from now. Also, we're keeping an eye on the corridors of justice, where we do understand the Chief Magistrate, that is Thomas Nzioki, will be delivering the sentencing of former Kiambu Governor, that is Ferdinand Waititu, in a 588 million graft case. Those are some of our top stories at this hour. My name is Abdiaziz Hashim. The sign language interpreter at the bottom end of the screen is Brian Muraru. But let's start off with health matters, where scientists in the country are proposing the formulation of a research integrity framework which will ensure the credibility of scientific investigations. Speaking on the second day of the 15th Kenya Medical Research Annual Scientific and Health Conference, Chief Research Officer at KEMRI, that is Professor Elizabeth Bukusi, disclosed that the country lacks an elaborate rule on research integrity, despite having more than 50 research centers, including institutions of higher learning.
Country recording numerous groundbreaking research innovations, experts now say more needs to be done to sustain public trust in research and advance scientific work in the country. According to the Chief Research Officer at Kenya Medical Research Institute, Professor Elizabeth Bukusi, Kenya must embark on promoting a culture of research integrity.
Many countries now have research integrity codes because it's bigger than just the issue of research ethics. It's bigger than did you get it approved, reviewed by a committee. It means who are you when nobody is looking? Are you doing the right thing in the right way, even if nobody is seeing you?
Meanwhile, KEMRI says the country has largely prevented the spread of the deadly Mpox virus in various parts, with only 38 cases confirmed positive out of over 400 samples which it tested. KEMRI Research Director Dr. John Witumbi says the majority of the cases involve long-distance truck drivers.
I think the good thing of doing this kind of thing and is really trying to understand is the disease spreading. And currently, I think the ministry is doing a great job. We are not seeing spread. They are containing it. They are tracking the contacts. I think we learned a lot about how to track our contacts from the COVID-19. So we have done a great job in containing. It's not spreading inland.
At the same time, KEMRI Director General Professor Elijah Songok has faulted the decision by U.S. President Donald Trump to cut foreign aid.
Science is global. It's very unfortunate that sometimes some policymakers want to divide science and say, okay, we cannot support this and then only support this, because one disease does not know borders. It doesn't know politics. It doesn't need visas. That's number one. Number two is that it's a wake-up call for us. Say, okay, there's need for own resources, own revenues, for us to be able to really get our own priorities.
Joseph Wahungu for Lunchtime News.
Girls in the country have been challenged to embrace science, technology, engineering and mathematics subjects to acquire critical thinking and problem-solving skills and qualify for lucrative jobs both locally and abroad. Speaking during this year's International Day celebration of women and girls in science organized by Center for Mathematics, Science and Technology Education in Africa in Kitui County, a section of education stakeholders led by the Center for Mathematics, Science and Technology Education in Africa Coordinator of Special Programs, Beatrice Masharia, urged girls to demystify the myth that STEM subjects and careers are exclusively for men.
Unajua Kenya Medical Research Institute. Hiyo ni ya scientist. Sio kila mtu anaweza enda hapo. Sio? So when you are in science, those are some of the areas that you can go to work because you are what? As a scientist, you are a researcher.
And as I informed you a little bit earlier, I want to take you live to the Milimani Law Courts, where Chief Magistrate, that is Thomas Nzioki, is currently delivering the sentencing of the former Kiambu Governor Ferdinand Waititu and other suspects in a 588 million graft case. Let's listen in to the magistrate delivering that particular sentencing.
Public offers. C. Denunciations. We denounce that this conduct that we cannot accept. And number D, community protection. The society as a large needs to be protected from those kind of criminal acts. This case is a typical example of a breach of public trust by the former governor and the chief officer, Department of Roads, Transport and Public Utilities. The offending acts of the accused person were deliberate, inexcusable, and undermines the tenets of good governance. I find that there cannot be an excuse for a governor to trade with a contractor of his county government or receive suspect money from the contractor. Then a governor who is so conflicted will be endeared to the personal gain, but not the servant leadership as expected from our Constitution. In this case, conduct of the first accused, second, fourth, and fifth accused persons is one that shows that they derive benefit from their criminal actions. Their common motive was personal enrichment from the public funds at the expense of service delivery to the people. That accused person, the engineer, you fail in your professional duty by awarding quotient raw tender to the Testimony Enterprise Limited. That company, there is no doubt, was unqualified. And it's been bond founded on the quicksand of procurement fraud. It could not withstand any test of time. A matter of concern to me, and I think this one you need to think about it seriously, Mr. Chege, is the deliberate misrepresentation and forgery of academic credentials of young graduates at a time when unemployment is a challenge to this society. That was not proper, Mr. Chege. You can just get them and employ them. The submission that the government got value for money by Mr. Jenga is in the scope of this case far-fetched. I find the same to be a self-serving statement, and which is discounted by the offending acts of the main director of Testimony Enterprise Limited, who perpetrated the procurement fraud to win the tender. I've looked at Section 2 of the ASECA, bearing the definition on sentence, bearing a definition on the word benefit. Benefit means any gift, loan fee, reward, appointment, service waiver, forbearance, promise, or other consideration or advantage. In applying that statutory definition of a benefit to the fact of this case, I hold that in this case, the sum of 147,274,055 fraudulently acquired by testimony enterprises was then a benefit. In addition, the sum of 25,624,500 received by Lake Naivasha Resort and entities co-owned by the former governor and the wife is also a benefit. The relevant law to apply in sentencing the accused person is one that is clearly prescribed in the following provisions. One, under ASECA, provision section 48(1), where a person convicted of an offense under that part shall be liable to a fine not exceeding 1 million or imprisonment for a term not exceeding 10 years or to both. B, additional mandatory fine if, as a result of the conduct that constituted the offense, the person received a quantifiable benefit or another person suffered a quantifiable loss. Under section 48(2), the other limb, the mandatory fine referred to in subsection 1(b) shall be determined as follows. These are the mandatory fine will be arrived at. The mandatory fine shall be equal to 2 times the amount of the benefit or loss prescribed under subsection 1(b). And if the conduct that constituted the offense resulted in both a benefit and a loss prescribed under.
Well, that is the Chief Magistrate, that is Nzioki Thomas, currently delivering the sentencing of the former Kiambu Governor, that is Ferdinand Waititu, and other suspects in a 588 million shilling graft case. And of course, our very own Ruth Wambo is currently attending that particular judgment delivery and will break it down for us in our subsequent bulletins in terms of the sentencing of the former devolved head. In other news now, the national government, in collaboration with a non-governmental organization, has launched an initiative aimed at restoring Gwasi Hill in Homa Bay County after a devastating landslide in April last year. Suba Central Sub-County Commissioner Beatrice Odera, who spearheaded the initiative, said over 600 trees were planted and nursery beds for seedlings established, and plans are underway to build gabions to control soil erosion.
Tunahimiza wananchi wote wa hizi sehemu za Suba ya Kati waweze kupanda miti na waache kukata miti, kwa sababu hiyo ni kuua. Wakitaka kukata watoe tu hiyo majani yake, lakini wasikate mti na pia kuchoma makaa.
We are also anticipating to work with the entire community of Nyaboma and Kisaku so that we are able to influence them to embrace environmental conservation through planting trees. And we actually also have planned through NLGF to teach them on technology of gabion making so that we can be able to mend the places that were destroyed by the flood, especially the infrastructure.
Kila mtu apande miti katika boma yake na serikali pia ipande mahali sehemu yake. Kwa hivyo tukiwa na miti tutachenga nchi yetu na tutakuwa na mazao ya kutosha na mvua itakuwa ya kutosha ili tupate mazao ya kuendeleza maisha.
The Ministry of Health is on high alert following an Ebola case reported in Mbale City in eastern Uganda, which is less than 70 kilometers from the Malaba border. The measures include heightened surveillance at entry points with a designated parking spot for planes arriving in the country from Uganda. The public has been urged to be extra vigilant even as the government liaises with the Kenya Medical Supplies Authority to procure adequate supplies, including protective gears and readiness for any eventuality. As of Tuesday, Uganda had 9 confirmed Ebola cases.
According to the Health Director General, Dr. Patrick Amoth, the threat of Ebola is now closer home.
With one specific case in Mbale city in eastern Uganda, which is less than 70 kilometers from our border in Malaba. Therefore, the threat of Ebola is real.
To this end, surveillance has been heightened at entry points.
Especially the land ports of entry, that is Busia, Malaba, Swam, and Luahaha, but also at Jomo Kenyatta International Airport. And we have a designated parking slot for flights coming from Uganda.
The Ministry of Health is also working towards capacity building for health workers and procuring protective gear.
We have the laboratory capacity that we used during COVID-19 pandemic that we'll be able to latch onto. And we are working together with KEMSA and the county governments to be able to ensure that we have sufficient stocks of personal protective equipment, because you need a unique PPEs for Ebola.
According to Dr. Moth, capacity at the Kenyatta National Hospital in Nairobi and Moi Teaching and Referral Hospital in Eldoret will be enhanced to handle any Ebola cases. In neighboring Uganda, which launched a trial vaccination program against the Sudan strain of Ebola, 9 confirmed cases, including 1 death, have been reported. Ebola is a deadly disease caused by a virus. Symptoms of the disease may appear 2 to 21 days after contact with the virus. At first, symptoms are generic and are known as dry symptoms. They include fever, aches and pains in the muscles and joints, severe headache, weakness and sore throat. Later symptoms include loss of appetite, unexplained bleeding, diarrhea and vomiting, among others. Meanwhile, the public has been urged to undertake means testing to benefit from the Social Health Authority packages.
The number that has taken
Apologize for that technical glitch. Of course, Okwara informing us in terms of the Ebola cases that have been reported in one of our neighboring countries and the measures that have been taken by the Ministry of Health. In other news now, Kenya Broadcasting Corporation and the Xinhua News Agency have signed a letter of intent laying the ground for the signing of a memorandum of understanding on areas of partnership between the two institutions. KBC's Managing Director Agnes Kaleche says the corporation is seeking to improve 3 key areas with the support of Xinhua Agency, namely equipment upgrades, technology training and digital platform development. She spoke when she hosted a delegation from the agency led by the Global Vice President Yuan Binzong for a tour of the broadcasting house here in the capital.
Receiving the Xinhua
Once again, we do apologize for that technical glitch. Let's take a short commercial break, but we'll be back with that news and so much more.
Leo ndo nimeamini kwa kweli unanipenda.
Sasa hiyo ndio kusema nini sasa?
Relax and be educated.
Exactly.
No fancy meals anymore when our son is not at home?
I don't mean to bother you. I have something to ask you.
Oh.
Yeah.
How did you know my home address?
If she doesn't retake or do the makeup exam, she might not be able to graduate. I'm so anxious, and I don't know what to do, and I suddenly thought of you.
Students are all wasting their time.
They're young. Young people's time is for wasting. Challenge the limit.
I can get you to Kai's good side.
Wewe unaamini nikiwa swara aje?
Really, you can be that careless even after what you've gone through.
I think we need to cool off.
This obsession you have with Kekara is going to get you killed.
Your daughter is more trouble than you realize.
I forbid you from going to that old man's compound. Unaona hii tabia yako ya babako imekufanya mpaka you're not even thinking straight. Please don't try bring a dead man into this conversation.
I didn't think you would have the guts to face me after your betrayal.
But you didn't give me any choice.
You were hired to do one thing.
Call me one more time and I'll cut ties with you.
Things are getting tight.
Tell your daughter.
Try me, Kekara.
What? Moto.
Bura hataki harusi. Bura ameniharibia binti yangu, sasa yuwasema ni mwizi.
Dada lazima leo nitakuua.
Nuru, nimeshindwa kujizuia Jasiri. Kila wakati najihisi niwe karibu na wewe.
Nuru. Jasiri huyo hapa. Jasiri nani? Nenda!
We don't need some test to prove that we're compatible.
Rachel Lee Cook and Brendan Penny propose a toast to love.
Welcome to our compatibility seminar. How do you want to spend Valentine's Day? A, relaxing at home. B, outdoors and active. Or C, going to a movie or a concert.
C. A. C. Oh. Valentine in the Vineyard.
Yeah, they're getting married someday. Okay.
Let's pretend you never leave. Tell me that you're here.
Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. Now, the Kenya Broadcasting Corporation KBC and the Xinhua News Agency have signed a letter of intent laying the groundwork for the signing of a memorandum of understanding on areas of partnership between the two institutions. KBC's Managing Director Agnes Kaleche says the corporation is seeking to improve three key areas with the support of Xinhua Agency, namely equipment upgrades, technology training and digital platform development. She spoke when she hosted a delegation from the agency led by the Global Vice President Yuan Binzong for a tour of the broadcasting house here in the capital.
Receiving the Xinhua News Agency led by its Global Vice President Yuan Binzong at the Broadcasting House, Kenya Broadcasting Corporation Managing Director Agnes Kaleche took the team for a tour of the headquarters. From the studio to the newsroom, TV studios, radio stations, the team had a first-hand experience of what goes on at the National Broadcasting House. This tour culminated with the signing of a letter of intent, which in turn laid the ground for the signing of a memorandum of understanding on areas of partnership between the two institutions.
We need to replace our aging broadcasting equipment, including cameras, editing software, and transmission systems. Our journalists and staff require training to effectively utilize the latest digital tools.
Xinhua looks forward to exploring opportunities to deepen cooperation with the KBC in areas such as television, the production, new media dissemination, and technological innovation.
This even as the managing director affirmed KBC's commitment to telling stories across the board, including addressing various misconceptions about China that have developed over the years.
With enhanced resources, our partnership can help broaden our coverage on important issues.
Also, men have been encouraged to lead the fight against sexual and gender-based violence as an important aspect of addressing the social injustice against women and children. Speaking at the Dandelion Africa Center in Rongai, Nakuru County, during men's conference organized as a precursor to Valentine's Day's, Festus Panyako, a psychological counselor and a former public health officer, said financial wellness, emotional intelligence and mental health could help SGBV and femicide. According to Panyako, most GBV perpetrators are men, and their involvement in the anti-GBV campaigns will play a vital role in ending the vice.
Kama ni kupunguza dhuluma za kijinsia, tohara ya kina mama, hiyo imeenda chini sana, kwa sababu tuligundua wanaume ndio wanahusika katika kupitisha ama kuamua haya mambo ambayo ni yanadhuru akina mama. So wakati wanaume wanahusishwa na kukua na ujumbe ambao ni mwafaka, mabadiliko yanasonga kwa haraka.
When they come in villages, they focus on girl child. They forget about the boy child. Me, I appeal to the government a lot that if possible, let the government now start shifting now again to bring up the boy child to a level that now things will work. You see, with multiple sexual partners, there is probability of being causing gender-based violence at home. When you end a lot of love triangles, gender-based violence, even to your children, to your wife, is up.
A consortium of organizations advocating for children's rights in 26 counties say the advent of artificial intelligence as a new frontier in technology puts children at risk of abuse in the digital space. This and much more is in our county's news roundup.
Assessment tour of the Sagana Special Economic Zones in Kirinyaga County, Trade and Investment Cabinet Secretary Lee Kinyanjui revealed that some investors have already booked spaces in the economic zones.
And by extension, the people of Kenya that will do everything possible to make business better so that Kenyans can have more money in the pocket, na tunaweza punguza our dependence on food from outside, on other things that we can also be able to produce here.
And a section of children's rights organizations and experts from Trans Nzoia County have pushed for a more enhanced legal framework to guide the use of artificial intelligence in the country to protect children in the digital space.
But if you want to showcase, for example, their talents, you can open an account on their behalf and be very specific when you are posting or putting that profile information on the platform you decide to put your children's images and videos as a positive platform for them.
Meanwhile, normal activities were suspended at the Dagoretti market in Nairobi County following a conflict that broke out between traders and a group of youths believed to be drug dealers in the area.
Hawa watu wafanyangi kazi. Hakuna saa zenye wanaingianga kazi. Kila siku wanashinanga wamelala pale. Usiku wanakuja wanaibia watu. Wanaamuka watu wakichinjiwa, wakikuja hapa kuchinja unashikwa.
Elsewhere, lecturers and workers at the Technical University of Mombasa have paralyzed learning and operations over unresolved financial issues that they want the management to fulfill.
We are tired as members of the university community with these perennial strikes all the time. Just the way the government pay other public sector employees, that is what we want to be done to university workers in this country.
Finally, security officers had a difficult time calming down hundreds of students of Buka Agricultural College in Kakamega County who were protesting the death of a student who was hit by a truck earlier on Wednesday.
Kitu yenye hatutaki kwa hii shule, kitu ya kwanza, tunataka shule inunue ambulance. Wanatuletea gari ya yogurt, atuweke ndani mwenzetu mwe amekufa.
Ya kwamba our students are being exposed at 4 to go for a livestock duty. At 4. It's so dangerous for our students to be exposed as that.
For Lunchtime News, I'm Alvin Kaunda.
And that story by Alvin Counter takes us to a second commercial break on KBC's Lunchtime News. We still have more for you, especially when it comes to business as well as sport matters. So don't go too far.
Karibuni. Hii ndio bezi ya the best local entertainment.
Sitakubali ukalie kiti cha umiliki katika kampuni ya mume wangu.
Tell me where my money is and I'll make this quick and painless.
You don't know what they do to girls like you.
I think it's a little unfair.
Nakujua vizuri sana. Najua mdosi wangu vizuri sana. Hauwezi akakuandika kazi.
Bura hataki harusi. Bura ameniharibia binti yangu, sasa yuwasema ni mwizi.
Jaja lazima leo nitakuua.
Nuru, nimeshindwa kujizuia Jasiri. Kila wakati najihisi niwe karibu na wewe.
Nuru. Jasiri huyo hapa.
Jasiri nani? Nenda!
Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. Now, a group of pastors have called on churches to change their messaging to conform with the current realities of life, to emphasize more on training their flock and empowering them apart from nourishing their spiritual lives. Speaking in Utawala at a convention in preparations for an empowerment conference organized for April, the group led by Pastor Ezekiel Mutisia says there have been serious gaps in how modern churches carry out their businesses, where they lead the preacher priorities prosperity gospel instead of well-being of their congregation.
Ni vizuri kufundishwa ili uwekimike, ufanye kazi ya huduma vizuri. Sio tu kila wakati tunaongea mambo ya prosperity gospel, lakini wale watu wako hapa nyuma, members, wanabaki bila chochote. Now we want to begin with our people here, the community itself, so that we can be able to do business and also to serve in churches with money.
Haya mafunzo ambayo yamekuja ni mafunzo ambayo kila mtu na kila Mkristo na yeyote yule anafaa kuyashika ili aweze kuwa na anafikiria ni nini. Watu wengine vile nilisema wanaweza kuwa wewe uko na uwezo hata wa kuanza biashara, lakini unangojea uajiriwe mahali. Unakuta hiyo kitu inaweka mtu stagnant for a very long time. Lakini wakati unatumia akili yako na unafikiria na unaanza kupata ideas, unakuta Mungu anakusaidia kukuonyesha unaweza fanya hii na ufanye hii, na maisha inaanza kubadilika.
County have condemned what they term as inflammatory remarks made by some leaders from the neighboring Garissa County, which they say can fuel unrest between the two border counties. Led by the Tana River Senator Danson Mungatana, the leaders say the border dispute between Tana River and Garissa counties need to be resolved by relevant authorities as a matter of urgency.
Mambo ya kutoa matamshi makali hayasaidii wananchi wetu. Ikiwa kuna shida, tafadhali tukuje tukae pamoja, tuongee, tutatue matatizo yetu. Mambo ya kutia moto wananchi wa upande huu na upande huu ambao wameishi siku hizi zote pamoja, hayo ni mambo ambayo hayafai.
Sisi kama viongozi wa Tana River tunasema tunaishi na upendo, na hatungependa wakati wowote vile kuzuke hali ya taharuki baina ya mwananchi wa Tana River na mwananchi wa Garissa.
Lazima watu wafuate sheria vile inatakikana. Hiyo ndio sababu tuko na administrative officers, wale maafisa wa ngao, county commissioner upande ile na upande hii, na kuna the regional commissioners. In case kuna issues, watu wakuje pamoja, waafikiane.
A baby born with a deformity has been abandoned at a private hospital in Naivasha, Nakuru County. The baby's family allegedly condemned the minor as cursed, while the mother refused to breastfeed or clothe her. The management of the hospital, led by the hospital operations manager James Kabuke, says they are consulting specialists from the Kenyatta National Hospital.
Mtoto alipomuona akasema hamtaki kwa sababu alizaliwa na maumbile ambayo si ambayo tumezoea. So tulijaribu kumweleza, tukamwambia kila mtu ni tofauti, na hakuna ambaye anafanana na mwingine. Kila mtu ako unique in their own way. Lakini yeye akasema hayo maumbile ni tata zaidi kwake, so hawezi weza kuendelea kumchunga ama kumkubali kama mwanae. So maumbile ambayo ni tofauti kwa mtoto ni skull yake haikuwa well formed. So akona kichwa yake, the skull imeanzia hapa kurudi nyuma. So upande wa mbele hapa hakuna skull. Alafu pia utaona uso wake hauko sawa kabisa, hana pua. So hapa tu ni the nostrils. Alafu pia macho yake yako set hapa tu chini, right above the mdomo wake. So pia ukiangalia mikono yake na miguu, kwa mguu ana kidole kimoja kwa the right lower limb. Alafu kwa mkono moja kuna vidole viwili ambavyo hana. So hayo ndio maumbile ambayo kwake ni tofauti na watu wengine. Mama ya mtoto akasema huyu hamtaki, hata nguo ambazo alikuwa amemletea mtoto wake avae akasema hawezi mpa, akazifungia kwenye begi lake.
Quite unfortunate indeed. Now to our top story, 45.6% of university students in the country have used at least one drug or substance in their lifetime. According to a survey conducted by NACADA in 17 universities involving 15,000 students, 26.6% of students are currently using substances including alcohol, tobacco, cannabis or khat. The report released Thursday further revealed that drugs are availed by peers followed by lecturers. Speaking at the launch of the report in Nairobi, Interior Cabinet Secretary, that is Kipchumba Murkomen, has expressed alarm at the statistics proposing for counselling for the affected students. The CS vowing that the government will hunt down drug peddlers together with politicians intoxicating the youth with drugs to cause violence at funerals.
These are the numbers we got. Most of the students say at 87.3%. They say it's very easy to access alcohol. And the numbers are there for cigarettes, 64.4%, for shisha, 41.2%, and you can see the availability of other substances of abuse. Miraa and mukuka were also accessible, at high numbers at the universities. They could easily get them if they walk out the university environment or surrounding. They would easily get them. Now, there is the availability of narcotic drugs, and cannabis is one of the critical narcotic drug which has been giving us a lot of problems, especially in the universities. And we found that 61.7% of the students felt that they can easily access narcotic drugs, including cannabis. It's a very serious national issue. It's the greatest threat to the well-being of our country. It's a national security issue. The well-being of our country is threatened by drugs and substance abuse.
I have had a lot of interest because my belief is that if we have a problem with our youth, we have a big problem in our country, because Our youth represents our future. So we have got a duty and responsibility to take care of our youth. We must protect our youth from these menaces, including the drug culture and many other vices that actually affect our society, and more so the youth.
Over 7,000 residents of Masheta village in Chonyi sub-county, Kilifi County, are said to benefit from the construction of a bridge that collapsed 4 years ago. The new bridge, constructed by a Chinese company at a cost of 84 million shillings, is fitted with street lights and is financed by the Kilifi County government.
Kumekuwa na vituko vingi sana hapa. Kwa hivyo tunashukuru Mungu kwamba Mungu ameleta miujiza, na sisi tunashukuru Mung'aro sana. Ndiposa ninasema Mung'aro 10.
Wakati bridge hii ilipokuwa imeanguka, mimi ndio mtu wa kwanza nilikuja nikapiga picha zile, nikaenda nikakaa na alokuwa gavana Kingi. Bridges and roads. Nikaenda nikapeleka picha zile, nikaambiwa kwamba hii bridge haiwezi ikatengenezeka. Ukweli wa mambo ni kwamba tulienda tukakaa na gavana Mung'aro. Gavana Mung'aro akanambia twende tukaangalie, tupange estimates. Kazi ambayo tulikuwa tunatarajia itachukua karibu miaka 4 au zaidi kutengenezwa, ndani ya rekodi ya miezi 6 leo bridge hii tunaona ikiwa hivi.
Mandera County Government has launched a relief food distribution exercise targeting over 70,000 households struggling to meet their basic food needs. Mandera County Governor Mohammed Khalif, who flagged off the distribution of the first batch of the relief food, assured residents that no deserving case will be left out. The county boss further urged the residents to take climate change seriously by adopting sustainable environmental practices.
Make it a personal initiative to take care of our environment, plant more trees, water the existing ones, restrain from deforestation, and any activity that puts our environment into further risk of climate challenges. We need proper coordination and collaboration with NGOs to effectively respond to the drought.
His Excellency ndio huyo anakuja.
Over 100 parents of Mirema Primary School in Laikipia County are demanding the school's management board's dissolution. The parents who staged demonstration outside the institution say the board is mismanaging the school's resources. They accuse the board of charging exorbitant fees without consultation and despite a capitation from the government.
Hapa kuna walimu hapa na chairman na watu wengine wafisadi wamekatalia hapa kwa shule. Hawana watoto kwa shule, tunaibiwa. Yuko nataka wakuja watuandikie board. Tuone ile pesa ya capitation. Kila mtoto anapewa pesa ngapi?
Ni board members. Hiyo B1 imekaa hapo, wengine hapo wamekaa more than 10 years. Tunauliza hivi, ni nini wanafanya kwa kiti mpaka saa hii? Nini wanafanya shule mpaka saa hii? Hawana watoto, hawana mtoto. So, ni hiyo board kwanza iondoke.
Kuna ile fees tulikuwa tunalipa mwaka iliyopita. Hii mwaka tumeongezewa, imefika 2,880. Sasa tunashindwa, hii pesa yote inaongezewa kwa nini? Na hatukujulishwa, hatukuitwa, tukuje tukae chini tujadiliane ili tuambiwe pesa imeongezewa kwa sababu hii na hii na hii.
And now let's get down to business. Sugarcane farmers will pocket 300 shillings more per tonne following a decision by the government to set the minimum price at 5,300 shillings per tonne. This is according to the Agriculture Principal Secretary Dr. Kiprono Rono, who says the decision to revise up sugarcane prices has been communicated to the millers. The decision was reached during a fourth interim sugarcane pricing committee meeting that analysed prevailing market conditions. The increase in minimum sugar price from 5,000 shillings to 5,300 shillings per tonne, which was effected on Monday this week, represents a 6% improvement in farmers' earnings. The next review of sugarcane prices is scheduled for May this year. The new pricing structure is expected to benefit 250,000 sugarcane farmers. Now, companies should leverage artificial intelligence to streamline operations and offer insights in transforming how investors evaluate sustainability. Crow Global Chief Digital Officer, that is Juan Carlos Lara, says the use of AI learning models will enable companies cross-reference data from multiple sources to validate the accuracy of their ESG metrics and offer investors a clearer picture of potential risks and opportunities.
We are incorporating different tools in our different way of working, and with those tools we have a better scope, we can provide a better service, and also it also will provide us with more time to be able to be more analytical when we think, instead of doing some chores that are just very basic. The system will do those for us, but we will be having more time to provide more value to our clients.
Kenyan banks should increasingly rely on credit scores provided by credit reference bureaus and digital technologies, including artificial intelligence, to assess borrowers' credit worthiness and price their risk more accurately. Now, David Ndii, the chairperson of the President's Council of Economic Advisors, say banks can leverage data from credit reference bureaus, which offer detailed insights into borrowers' credit histories and repayment patterns to make informed lending decisions. This, he argues, is a better alternative to applying blanket interest rates across all borrowers.
They are unable to is because pricing risk correctly requires a lot of information they don't have. However, our banks could do more, and I think that is what this forum was about, to use external information that is now available and tools that digital technology offers. AI is a big player in this space because it helps you to model information that's publicly available, as well as information that is gathered by credit bureaus and stuff like that.
Reason banks are risk averse is because they are not pricing risk correctly. So whenever they do the lending, they go into a loss. If you price risk properly, then you are able to cover your losses even when the risk materializes. And we have solutions because what they need is large data, not just the silo data. So we have a database of 23 million borrowers, where each of those borrowers have a credit score. So if you have ever borrowed money from a SACCO, from a digital credit provider, from a bank, we have your credit score. And it is that credit score that we are giving the bank to use to determine your interest rate. Now, that for the 23 million Kenyans, about 70% have a good credit score.
Kwale-based titanium made its last bulk shipment from the port of Mombasa to the United States, marking the end of 11 years of titanium export. Base Titanium Operation Manager, that is Devham Vickers, says the company concluded its mining processes in December 2024 after minerals were depleted at the Kwale mining site.
Operations manager Devam Vickers said over the last 11 years, the company had exported a total of 5.2 million tons of titanium, which included 3.9 million tons ilmenite, 804,000 tons rutile, and 295,000 tons zircon, while the rest are other minerals obtained from titanium ore.
We didn't have anything left to mine. It's all basically finished, the economic ore, and so on the 31st of December, we finished mining. That was when all the ore had been mined out. On the 4th of January, we finished processing. We've been shipping whatever's been left over ever since.
The manager says Base Titanium is yet to relinquish its properties until they are certain they will not continue with any mining exercise in the future.
Hii meli imeweza kuload na inaenda Amerika, huko ndio customer wetu huyo yuko, na inamaanisha kwamba imeenda ndio hivyo. Tumemaliza kulimalizwa December, mining ilimalizika December. Hapa inamaanisha kwamba sasa tumemaliza operation ya hapa.
Base Titanium has been accounting for 65% of Kenya's mineral exports. The mining ministry is currently running compliance checks on all licenses and permits for anybody handling minerals to determine compliance with the Mining Act of 2016.
Now, welcome to the world of sports. The Football Kenya Federation, FKF, is reaffirming its dedication to elevating football officiating standards nationwide. As part of this effort, they held a 3-day physical endurance test for Division 1 referees at the Kipchoge Keino Stadium in Eldoret. The program aims to rigorously evaluate and improve the referees' physical fitness, ensuring they meet the high-performance standards required for officiating league matches. FKF President Hussein Mohammed highlighted the importance of the program, noting that officiating has seen a significant challenge in the country's league.
This has been, of course, as a result of the Federation realizing that we have a very big gap in terms of the standards in officiating our games at our leagues. And I think such a process is important so that we're able to get the right quality of referees to manage our league games or to oversee our league games.
Now to the scenes at Goodison Park. Liverpool captain Virgil van Dijk expressed his dissatisfaction after they were held to a 2-2 draw by Everton in a dramatic English Premier League match that saw 4 red cards being flashed as the tempers flared in the last minute of the game at Goodison Park. Norbert Beto went into the score sheet first after 11 minutes before McAllister equalised 5 minutes later. Mohamed. And of course, mind you, that is the last derby match in the Merseyside will be held in Goodison Park before Everton gets a new stadium. And of course, Liverpool called that a game in hand. So unfortunate. Now, Bayern Munich survived a Celtic scare to register a 2-1 victory in the UEFA Champions League playoff match at the Celtic Park. Michael Olise struck at half-time before captain Harry Kane made it a 2-0 in the remaining half. Dezen Meda scored the consolation for the Celtic in the 79th minute to give his team's hope of reaching the last 16.
It's going to be a throw-in. No, it's not. There's no time for it. I thought he was fouled by Rafael Leao. The ball actually never went out of play. João Felix.
That particular result at Goodison Park has set the stage for match week game 25 in the English Premier League, with the league starting, of course, that particular week with Brighton against Chelsea, and Arsenal will be taking on Leicester on a Saturday fixture, and then finally it will be Liverpool closing off the week with Wolves. And then finally, a bigger match here on Sunday where Tottenham Hotspurs will be facing Manchester United. We all know how that will end at the Spurs Stadium. Also, we have gotten an update from the courts that the former Kiambu governor has been sentenced. You'll have more in our subsequent bulletins by Ruth Wamboi. Now, that marks the end of our bulletin. My name is Abdiaziz Hashim. The sign language interpreter at the bottom end of the screen is Brian Muraru. Good afternoon for now.